Hello everybody, today I'm going to show you how to fill out the blended learning lesson template that's available for you on Moodle. First, we're going to fill in the block time, and this is a form fillable PDF, so you just select the highlighted area and type in the length of time that you expect this class to take. So we're going to put 75 minutes in there because that's how long each of our class sessions are at Coastal Carolina. You can research, you can ask teacher friends to see how long their class periods are and fill in appropriate time. Next, we're going to move to applicable South Carolina standards. And the best way to do this is to Google South Carolina state standards, and it'll take you to this page right here. It's ed.sc.gov/instruction/standards-learning. And this will take you to a page with all the standards for all your main subjects here. And since this is going to be a social studies lesson, I've already gone ahead and clicked the standards, and it'll take you to a page that looks like this. And within that, I already know what standard I'm looking for. It's WG 7.5. So I'm going to flip down to that. And this is going to be a blended learning lesson about colonization and neocolonialism. So these two standards are the ones that I want right here. So I'm just going to copy that, Control C, bring it over to my form fillable PDF, paste that right in there. I also like this WG 7.6. Your lesson can deal with as many standards as you like. So right there, I have my WG 7.5 and 7.6 standards pasted right in. Alright, moving right along. The introduction. This is the part of your blended learning lesson where you're going to maybe go over some homework assignments, maybe tell the students what your learning objectives are for the day. So in this introduction, I'm going to say that I'm going to take attendance, brief the students on directions for the blended learning rotations, and also go over expectations. Okay, now I have my brief introduction written, and what I wrote was, I will take attendance, go over directions and expectations for each of the blended learning rotations, and divide students into groups. Moving right along, this is where we fill in our three main dynamic blended learning rotations. And for this assignment, the three that we have chosen are teacher-directed, collaborative, and independent digital content. Teacher-directed, this is going to be your small group instruction. So you're working with maybe 5 to 8 students at a time, really reinforcing concepts, going over material in a more intimate setting, maybe doing some reteaching there. But think of these as low number of student to teacher ratio lessons. The collaborative, this is going to be students working in small groups together on an assignment. But just make sure that it's collaborative in nature, that each individual student that's part of this small group is using their strengths. And then we have independent digital content. And this can be content that you create yourself for your class. It can be content pulled directly from an online textbook or some type of proprietary software that your school is having you use. This could be like Alex Math or some system like that. So we're going to fill in each of these three portions in our blended learning lesson plan. So for the teacher-directed portion, I have this speech by Kwame Nkrumah, who is a president of Ghana. And in this speech, he talks about neocolonialism, basically the dangers of colonialism, and what he wants to do to get out of it. So in a small group, I as a teacher am going to lead a discussion about this speech after we take turns popcorn reading it. So I'm just going to highlight the title of this document, go back to our blended learning template, and then fill in what we will be doing in this teacher-directed small group rotation. Okay, so now I've filled in my teacher-directed portion for that small group instruction, reading, and discussion that I described earlier. Now I'm going to move on to filling in the collaborative portion of this blended learning lesson plan template. So for the collaborative portion of this blended learning lesson, students are going to read from their online textbook and answer review questions. So the website for the online textbook is connected.mcgrawhill.com, and I'm going to go back to my blended learning template and fill it in accordingly. One thing before I forget, I also want to fill in how long I anticipate each of these stations taking. So I was thinking the introduction is going to be pretty brief. We're going to say this is about 10 minutes. So I'm just going to put 10 minutes in parentheses behind it. And then for each of these stations, I'm going to include how long I think each is going to take. So I'm going to say about 20 minutes a station. And I'm just going to put that in parentheses at the end of each rotation. Now we're going to move on to the independent digital content, and for this I have created an Edpuzzle, and Edpuzzle is a pretty great online software, and with it you can take YouTube videos and put questions directly into that video. They can be multiple choice, they can be open-ended, there are a lot of possibilities here. So I just want to show you what this looks like. So I've taken a crash course world history video, and you can see I have questions popped right into the video as students watch it. And this is going to be something that they can complete silently, independently, and there are different levels of questions in here for me to gauge student understanding and for students to learn.
Hi, I'm John Green. This is Crash Course World History, and today we're going to discuss 19th century imperialism.
So as students progress through this video, they will reach these question mark icons, and those will be different types of questions. I have a mixture of both multiple choice questions as well as open-ended questions. So we're going through the introduction here to Crash Course. John Green is going to explain a concept. I'm just going to skip forward a little bit, and we hit a question. So what was the one thing that Europeans had that the Chinese wanted? And this is silver. So the Chinese really wanted European silver. So I'm going to hit submit and then continue, and the video continues on. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this and go back to my blended learning template and then write in that information there. Alright, so I've filled in my independent digital content portion of my blended learning lesson template, and what I described there is how students will be watching that video, answering those questions as they go through, and how that information can actually serve as data about understanding, which I can use to group my students later in another blended learning lesson. And for the closure, here is where we're going to review what we talked about in the previous 3 rotations. Check for understanding. Just make this complete sentence here. I will summarize what was learned, check for understanding, and provide students with the URL for the exit ticket. And the exit ticket assignment is going to be really cool. We're using a program called Socrative. Socrative is a great high-tech option to the old school exit ticket strategy. I have this video that better explains Socrative to you, and I will post this on Moodle. But students can answer questions on their cell phone or in their web browser that gauge understanding. You can also use this data later for your blended learning stations. Okay, and now I'm all done filling out my blended learning lesson template. As you can see, I went back and added a few things. I made sure to include the URLs for all the online resources that I used in my blended learning lesson. Make sure that you stick those in there so I can check those out. And please, please, please make sure that you include standards that link to your blended learning lesson. Okay, so the final step here is to save this PDF and then upload it to Moodle in the submissions area. Thank you very much, and I hope you learned a lot from this blended learning lesson template video.